Welcome to enVista Experts on Demand, your unbiased, informative source for industry news and education. Today we are joined by Broc Pittsford, Senior Director of Supply Chain Solutions, on the topic of how to succeed at change management. What exactly is change management?
Change management is the application of process, tools, and techniques in order to address the people aspects of change. Similar to project management that addresses the resources, tasks, and schedule, the change management is addressing the people part so that either individual or organizational change has a high adoption rate in order to achieve ultimately the business results that the project or change is going after.
How does change management factor into a project's overall ROI?
So every project should and typically has a return on investment. It's either an increase in efficiency, a decrease in labor spend, an increase in sales, something that makes a financial or organizational impact to the business. And especially in supply chain execution, the projects have a high degree of what's considered change management ROI, which means a large portion of what has to be adopted by individual changes or individual users with regards to change is directly reflected to that return on investment. So typically in supply chain execution, north of 75% of the return on investment has to do with people changing the way that they do their job, either from a technical, a process, or an organizational perspective in order to achieve those business results. So it's very easily quantitatively determined that a supply chain project has a very high ROI as it relates to change management.
What are the key factors of successful change management?
There's several key factors that we concentrate on with regards to executing change management related to projects. There are about five. The first one, and probably the most important one, is awareness, and that really has a lot to do with communication, having a proper communication plan that spans the entire spectrum of the organization, from executives and all the stakeholders down to the end users. And it has to do with making sure that everyone is aware of the change, and not just the change is going to occur, but when is it going to occur, why is it occurring, why does it have to happen now, and what would be the organizational impact if we didn't incur such change. The second one is desire, and it's really getting the folks that have to change in order to produce that return on investment, that they have the desire to want to partake in the change, to change their job on a daily basis. And largely it's what's in it for me, so that they understand what's the return on the organization, what is the positive impact on their business or their pay structure, or what is the positive impact on the organization at large if that change is adopted and adopted well. The next two have to do with knowledge and ability, and it really relates to the training aspects of change management. The knowledge aspect of it is arming the folks with the particular traits, the new technology change, the new process changes through training, so that they know how to do their job different after the change has been occurred. And then also the ability of that is it could be an organizational, it could be a environmental change, so that if the process changes or the technology changes, that they have what they need in their environment on a day-to-day basis in order to execute the change that's being asked of them. And the last one has to do with just resistance management. So as opposed to a project that has a start and a stop, change management is really more of a process. So it goes alongside with the project, but it has to continue once the project is over, and it has to continue in a manner that you monitor for resistance. So after the project is executed and completed, you use key aspects and you use monitoring and looking for key performance indicators to make sure that the change is continuing and people haven't reverted back to previous behavior, and also just celebrate the wins.
How do I know how much change management I actually need?
And it's a good question. It has a lot to do with how much disruption the individuals are going to face on a daily basis with their day-to-day job. So if their job is drastically going to change from a technology or process or perspective, then it's going to incur a good amount of change management necessary in order to procure that adoption rate that you need in order to achieve the business results. It also has a lot to do with the company's culture and how much they're already manage change and how well they do. It has a lot to do with previous results too. So previous projects that have been executed or previous changes with the organization, if they had positive results and the folks that are being involved in the change understand that and bring that to the table on the current change, it's going to help. If the ones in the past have not had positive results or have struggled, then it's going to need additional change management because they're going to reflect on that and assume similar results on the current change.
At what point during a project should you implement change management?
Change management actually needs to be thought of and implemented prior to the start of a project. So if at time zero is when the project management portion of a project starts, actually you need to start change management before that time zero, because the change management runs alongside the execution of a project as it relates to project management and execution. But the change management needs to be thought of ahead of time so that you've got the proper stakeholder involvement, you've got the proper communication plan, which begins before the actual execution of the project takes place.
Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for the next episode of enVista Experts on Demand.